Video I'm going to be showing you how to make a dialogue system. So what we're going to do is just insert a character. We can use the plugin called we can load character plugin by Already Pro in the plugins tab. You can, if you don't have it, you can just go into the toolbox, go to plugin, and you can just search load character. You can get the free version or you can get the pro version, it doesn't really matter. I'm just going to search my name, or you can just search anybody's name, and there we go. And we're just going to put this guy right here, and when we walk up to this person, it's going to activate our dialogue system. So let's just rename this guy Bacon, and we're going to actually insert a part, and this part is going to be where the proximity prompt is, which activates the dialogue system. So there we go. I'm going to make this can collide off so you can walk through it, which means now I can walk through it because I turned it off, so I cannot collide with it. And I'm going to make it invisible, and I'm just going to name this active, and I'm going to put it inside of the bacon, and I'm going to add a proximity prompt inside. So let's insert a script inside of the proximity prompt. There we go. And let's remove hello world. Before we actually do code, let's do our UI. So now when we move the frame, everything inside of the frame also moves, as long as we're moving the frame. So if I move this, as you can see, the frame also moves. And now that we have our dialogue, let's change the position of the frame. But before we do, we're going to keep note of this. I'm just going to paste it down here. You can paste it wherever. And then we're going to change this to, we're going to change the Y so it goes under our screen. So 1.3, 1.2, 1.3, and there we go. Now let's get start to script. And before and now we're gonna make a function, local function. I'm just going to name this speaker, and this function, what it's going to do is basically we're going to fire this function each time we want it to say a text, and in here what it's going to take is a message. Okay, and now we want all of this to start when it's when the proximity prompt is activated. So script.parent. And when we do script.parent, it refers to the proximity prompt. So when we do script.parent, we have the proximity prompt, and when we want it to start, so we use the word triggered, and the word triggered is going to make it so when it and this is an event. So when it's triggered, it means when it started. So when it's triggered, we want to connect it into a function. And in this function, what we're going to do is actually add a debounce, because we don't want the person to just keep spamming the proximity prompt. So local debounce is going to equal to false. And what a debounce is a debounce is that a thing to prevent it to be spammed, for it to work once, and then if a person presses it again to work again, it doesn't override each other. So, and how debounces work is you would start with your first value. So if it's false, then you're going to do if false. Then in my case, my variable is called debounce, so if debounce is equal to false, then we don't want it to work again, so we're going to set it to true, equal to true. And now we want all of the code underneath to work, and this is going to work once, but we don't want it just to work once, we want it to work once and then start again. So we're going to do debounce is equal to false, and the time between here is going to be where our actual code works. And then when it changes back to false, is telling the game, hey, I'm ready to be triggered again because I'm already finished. So if you trigger me, I'm going to actually work this time because I'm now false. So yeah, And now here we're going to put our code. Local, we're going to have to refer to our UI, so local UI is going to equal to something, and when we trigger something, what gets passed through is the player. See here, player who triggered. So when someone triggers this, what gets passed is the player, and now we have a player to refer to because it says here player who triggers is the player. So now we have a player, and the UI is inside of the player GUI, so player.player GUI, and our UI is called dialog UI, so dialog UI. And what we want to access is the stuff inside the frame, so we can just do .frame, and now we can actually access the image. So UI.image, and when you do image in the properties tab, if we search image, the property of image is image, so it's so we're going to do .image again. We could rename this, but yeah, and it's going to equal to, and before we actually do our numbers, we're going to do https colon / rbx asset id colon / and let's actually remove this. We can just have rbx asset id / and here is where we're going to put our numbers, and we can join stuff together using a dot, and what we're going to get is the get the thumbnail. So we can do game.players. If we start typing get user thumbnail async, it says here get user thumbnail async, and it gets the user thumbnail async by their user ID, and we could just manually type someone's user ID, but in our case we could just get their user ID by getting their name. So we can do game inside of here, inside of the user so this is going to get their image by their user ID, but since we don't have the user ID, we're also going to get the user ID, so we can do game game.players. So in the players, if I can type, hold on, game.players get user ID from name, and here we can just insert the name of our player, which was called like per, I guess, and this gets the user ID from the name, and now we have the user ID because we need the user ID for this. And if we carry on, as you can see, it says thumbnail type and it says thumbnail size, so we can just put a comma after all of this and do enum.thumbnail. So we're doing type first, so thumbnail type, and this is going to choose our thumbnail type. We're just going to do a headshot, and then we're going to do our size, so comma, and we can do our size now. As you can see, it says enum, do it first, so enum.thumbnail size, and we're just going to make this the biggest as possible, so 420 by 420. And now we have the player's image. We're actually going to do the text, so what we're going to do is we're going to via speaker for text 1, we're going to do wait, and then we can do hashtag, and then we're just going to copy and paste this again, and then change this to text 2, and change this to text 2. I'm just going to copy and paste this again, and we're just going to change this to text 3. So let's pass through the player as well, actually, player, because we want to access the player's text and change that as well to the text that we're slowly adding onto letter by letter. So we're also going to pass through the player, and we can just copy this over now, and now we have our UI variable. We can do UI dot, seems like it's not auto-filling, so let's just look here, UI dot text, so the name of the text and then the actual text is going to equal to, and in here we're going to do the loop, so for I equals to 1 to an amount, so this is going to go all the way from 1 to 2 in a loop, but we don't want to go to 1 to 2, we want to get to the amount of messages we have, so that amount of letters that there are in a message. And we can just do our hashtag sign, and then we can just do our message, and this is going to do a loop, and we can just copy and paste this inside of the loop. It's going to equal to string dot sub, and what string dot sub is going to do is going to get letter by letter. So if we insert our string and then how much of that string that we want to have, then it's going to get that amount. So if I did 2 onto the string, it's going to get 2 of the letters of the string, and it's just going to do that. That's why we go from 1 all the way to the amount of letters we have, because it's going to do it 1 by 1 by 1, and this is going to do it 1 by 1 by 1. And here it says we need to insert our string, which is just our message. So we can just do message, and the amount that we start at, and then the amount we want to go to, which is I in our case. And we don't want it to instantly all happen at once, so letter by letter by letter. We want it to have like a 0.1 wait time. We just want it to have it like our small wait time. Also remember, our UI is off the screen, and that's why we have this at the bottom. So before we do any of this stuff below, we're just going to actually put the UI onto the screen. So UI, I'm going to do tween position, and it expects a UDI M2 instead, because we use that instead of vectors in UI. And then we're going to give it its position, which is the thing that we just copied. We copied before, and we're going to make sure to remove these squirrely brackets, because as you can see, we're getting a warning, we're getting an error. It's not going to work. So let's delete these, and look at that, it's working. And if we wanted, we can even add comma and add easing direction, easing styles using enum, as you see enum, using enum. So enum dot easing direction, let's just say out, and let's just say enum dot easing style. So the style we want it to ease at, let's just do quad, which is the speed determined by the quadratic interpol, and let's just do once. Can it be overridden? Sure, I guess. And let's just not do the rest of them. Anyways, now we can tween our thing on. At the end, we want to turn it off. We want to bring it back off. So we can just copy this, and we can paste it here. So after it waits and does the message, we're just going to change it. But this is the on, so this changes it to on, and we don't want it to be on. And right now it's off, so we can just copy the off position of the frame. So position, and we're just going to copy this, and we're going to replace this with the off position. And again, we have to remove the squiggly brackets, as they're not going to work and they're going to just cause problems. And there we go. So it seems like I forgot to anchor the part that we're going to be interacting with, so make sure it's anchored so it doesn't fall through the world. Let's just do a wait time of, I don't know, 3 seconds each time. Also, the image was not showing. Oh yeah, we're just going to make it equal to, we're not actually going to put object/asset ID in there, because we're going to already have that in there, since we're just already getting the image. And if we E to interact, hello there, works nicely. Like and subscribe. Seems like our text label could edit some settings on the text label, but it seems to be working perfectly. Hello there. And we can't spam it, as you can see. Doesn't allow you to spam, as we had a debounce in there. And we have bye. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.